art of selling. So if you've been following, since we started this month, our theme for the month is the dark art of selling. And I want to appreciate you guys, and I want to appreciate all our speakers. We've had some of the best salespeople on the call in this month. Well, today we have our final session, and there is no other person to take this session than my own brother. We've known for years. We have a circle of friends that we can call ourselves at any point in time, and we respond to one another, except we are not available. And then the person on the call is someone is someone who understands how to sell. And it's not just that he can teach it, he lives it out. I mean, I've seen him sell out meetings, sell out conferences. I've seen him sell out solutions that you would have thought that people won't pay the kind of money they pay him for. It's here with me in Dallas, Texas, and we're still hanging out yesterday night, meeting Amala. Well, House of Saviors, I want to make welcome again to the podium, my brother, Steve Harris. Steve, you're welcome. Over to you.
First off, just to be clear, you are the one eating amala. I don't like amala, so I was eating rice. Just to put it out there. Hello, everyone. Good, whatever your time zone is. It's an amazing honor to be here. I think this is my second time, if I'm not mistaken, at the House of Saviors, and it's always an amazing privilege to be here. Shout out to my brother Praise. It's always an honor to get asked to do this, and you know how it is. When you are in the same line of work or industry with someone, most people in our field do not collaborate. Most people in our field consider ourselves as competitors, which I think is ridiculous. But it takes a man who has a great heart, a largeness of heart, and great capacity to bring people who others would consider as their competitors to come into their platforms and potentially take their clients away. That's the dark art of selling, you know what I mean? But I'm clearly not going to do that. Praise is my older brother, so I do have that regard and respect for him. So thank you so much for having me, everyone. I can see Olanika. Thank you, Olanika. Let me just go through a few of the comments just to say thank you. Oh, there are a lot of comments. Dr. Princess. Hey, Dr. Princess. I totally miss you. It's been so long. Thank you so much. Dr. Princess is amazing. Thank you, Olanika. I'm not going to pronounce your name. I'm sorry. Thank you, Shegun. Thank you, Lois. Thank you, Njadeka. And thank you to everyone. Thank you so much, guys. Alrighty, so let's get into it. Shout out to all the previous, thank you, Okwe Olua. Shout out to all the previous speakers who've come before me. I know they've done amazing jobs so far. I'm just gonna, be the icing on the cake, I guess. And Praise told me that we're gonna be talking about, thank you, Ngozi, we're gonna be talking about the dark arts of selling. And I love it. I love the topic because I think everyone just feels like selling is all about unicorns and rainbows. And if you've got a great product, people are naturally going to buy. No, they're not. There's a lot of subliminal communication that is necessary. There's quite a bit of manipulation that is necessary. There's quite a bit of dark arts that a lot of people don't talk about where it comes to selling. And for anything to be very, very effective, you've got to understand human behavior. You've got to understand human psychology, buyer psychology. You've got to understand emotional manipulation. And those things are not bad in and of itself. I'll give you an example. So I'm not trying, today's Sunday, so depending on if you live in Australia, it's probably Monday already. But I'm going to give you an example, and I'm not trying to cast aspersions to any demographic, but do you recognize that for those of us who perhaps are Christian, that your offerings and tithes usually comes during, or usually comes pretty much right after some level of praise and worship, or maybe the word of God. Now, why is it that your offerings are, the call for offerings or the calls for tithes are usually done, especially in Nigerian churches? So this is a caveat to Nigerian churches, that they're usually done right after praise and worship or right after the word has been given. Do you know why that is? Let me just ask, does anyone know why that is? Why is it that offerings usually are asked for right after the word, or in some cases after worship or praise? Can anyone tell me? Drop a quick comment. Let me just know. Thank you, Akin Rockwell. Thank you for having me. And JDK says, your mood is right for giving. Absolutely. Beautiful. Anyone else? Anyone else? Adiola says, an obligation to God. Fantastic. Thank you. Anyone else? I'll take two more people. Drop a comment. Quick. The morale is high at that time. I got you. Lois says to charge you up to give cheerfully. Beautiful. All right, beautiful. I mean, all of you are right. And the simple answer to that, your emotions have been appealed to. They want to garnish the heart to give, to excite you. Cool, right? The ugly truth about it is, Bukola says you're already in a hype mode. Exactly. The ugly truth about it is that you are in a very high, thank you, Wally, exactly. You're in a very high emotional state. So they have, and I'm not saying they do it deliberately, but this is the dark arts of offerings and tithing in the church, right? But the short answer is you're in a very high emotional state. You're in a very peak emotional state. And when you are in a very worked up emotional state, you suspend logic. So logic and reasoning go out of the window when you're in a very high emotional state. When you're in a peak emotional state, your resistance most of your resistance and your defenses have been broken into, that your walls are already down, your logical state has been suspended. And that is the best time to ask you to give, because you're worked up, you're high, you're pumped, you're gung ho, ready to go. You're like, come on, this was amazing. Your endorphins are high, your dopamines are going, gangbusters. And yeah, that's the dark part of what happens in the church. But I'm not trying to disparage them. I'm just trying to explain why that happens. And you notice that you give a lot when you're in that state. All right, so let me get into some of my thoughts for the day. I have them open up. All right, so first thing I need you to recognize when it comes to selling, right, is it's not about what you want to sell. It's about what the customer wants to buy. I'm going to say that again. It's not about what you want to sell. It's about what the customer wants to buy. Okay? So you have to appeal to what the customer wants to buy. So to give you an example, any high profile university like Harvard, Oxford, Stanford, Tulane, Yale, all those schools don't necessarily appeal to your ability to afford it. They don't sell education. Do you get what I mean? Harvard doesn't sell education. Harvard doesn't say that, if you join Harvard, your child will be able to graduate in 3 years instead of 4. That's not what Harvard sells. Harvard doesn't say that, they sell the best education in the world. They don't sell that, right? They don't suggest any of those things. What Harvard sells, what they really truly sell, is a fear of missing out. They sell the fact that they have matriculated 3 US presidents. They've matriculated a ton of American senators. They sell the fact that the world's greatest tech minds, like Bill Gates, like Mark Zuckerberg, have matriculated from the schools like Harvard. They sell the fact that if you join Harvard, you join an exclusive community, you join an exclusive fraternity of the 1% of the 1% in the world, because Harvard takes pride in matriculating the very 1% of the 1%. Now, if you want to be perceived as the very 1% of the 1%, you're going to Harvard. Now, that is a deep, dark desire that you have, that you want, but somebody has communicated your deepest, darkest desire. And that's what Harvard has done. That's why Harvard has a waiting list. That's why having money doesn't get you into Harvard. That's why Harvard requires you to have referrals, not just from anyone, but from people who have been to Harvard. They have to vouch for you, right? So their deepest, darkest proposition, right, is that they educate and matriculate, and they give you an opportunity to network with the top 1% of the 1% in the world. That's what it is. That's all they sell. You're not going to see it on their brochure. You're not going to see it on their flyer. You're not going to see it anywhere. But that's what they're appealing to. So it's not what Harvard wants to sell. It's what the customer wants to buy. The customer wants to be able to brag and say, well, I went to school with Mark Zuckerberg, or Elon and I were classmates. You know what I mean? Or, I matriculated, I'm from the Skull and Bones fraternity. You want to be able to wear the Harvard jersey, and that means something. You want to be able to have a Harvard ring, because you know that when you get into an interview with someone who also went to Harvard and you understand the code and the lingo and the language, you're going to be an exception. You know what I mean? You're going to walk into rooms where the 1% of the world's 1% of the 1% are. You want that for your child. You want that for yourself. Heck, I mean, for those of us who are here, if those of us who are still interested in education, if you could still get into Harvard, you probably will. You know what I mean? Because it's not about curriculum. It's not about the books. It's not about the campus and how beautiful it is. It's not about the lecturers or the professors. None of that, fam. What they're selling is to the deepest, darkest desire. I hope you understand where I'm coming with this. So it's not about what you want to sell. It's about what the customer wants to buy. Give you another example. Women like Birkin bags, right? So all these designer bags like Birkin, or designer brands, but I'll go with Birkin, right? There is no woman who buys a Birkin bag and puts it on the floor. She doesn't do that. Let me put it this way. The Bible says in Matthew, it says something, I think it's Matthew 4, it says, no man lights a candle, right, and puts it under a bushel. Rather, it places it on a table so that there will be lights in the house. Now, what do I mean by that? It means that it's very possible that you have lights, but you're experiencing darkness. I'll explain, right? So no man lights a candle, which means the candle is lit, it's illuminated, there's light. No man lights a candle and puts it under a bushel, puts it under a table, puts it under a bucket. Rather, he puts it on the table so that there'll be lights in the house. So it's not the fact that you don't have lights, it's the fact that your lights is wrongly positioned. So if you have lights and you put it in the wrong place, it's the same as having darkness, right? So for many of us, the problem is not a light problem. It's not a visibility problem. It's a promotional problem. It's a positional problem. You're wrongly positioned. And I'm going to explain this. So I gave you an example and I said women buy Birkin bags, but they don't put it on the floor. So just let's rephrase that scripture that I just quoted. No man lights a candle but puts it on under a bushel, but rather he puts it on the table so that there'll be lights in the house. Let's rephrase the Steve Harris version. No woman buys a Birkin bag and puts it on the floor. Rather, she puts it on a table, or she puts it on a table with a hook and turns the brand facing you so that you will know that she's not your mate. Can I say that again? No woman buys a Birkin bag and puts it on the floor. Rather, she puts it on the table, hanging by a hook with the brand facing you so that you will know that she is not your mate. That's why women buy Birkin bags, right? Why do women buy Christian Louboutin shoes with the red bottom soles? Does it cost, the shoes probably maybe like $5,000, $10,000, whatever. But why are they buying it? It's got a red sole. Does that red sole cost $10,000? No, it does not. That red sole has come to communicate status. It's come to communicate exclusivity. It's come to communicate, I am not your matey. So no woman walks and wears Christian Louboutin shoes, sits on a chair and puts her leg on the floor. Rather, she crosses her legs and places the sole right in front of your face so that you will know that she is not your mate. That's the dark art of selling. Can I say that again? No woman wears Christian Louboutin shoes and sits down and puts her feet on the floor. Rather, she crosses her legs and places the sole pointing at your direction so that you will know, my friend, that she is not your mate. It's not about what you want to sell. It's what the customer wants to buy. And one of the things that all your customers want to buy is something that amplifies their status. If it doesn't amplify their status, they're not going to buy. Every decision they make is tied to the very selfish answer about how does this amplify my status? How does this make me look better than the other person? That is a real thing. How does this make me look better than the other person? Ladies, I'll give you an example. Let's say you bought a dress or you made a dress from this tailor or designer of yours, and you went to an event and your friends where at first off, you go to an event. Yemi says it's a real thing, but there are There are exceptions. No, Yemi, there are no exceptions. That's the deep, dark fantasy. And I'm going to explain, right? So you made this dress specifically for an event, right? But when you made this dress and you hung out with your friends, you noticed that nobody noticed your dress. Or you bought some hair and nobody noticed your hair. Let's stick with the dress. You bought the dress, nobody noticed your dress. How does that make you feel? Right? It's gonna, if you want to be honest, it's gonna make you feel bad. Like you put all this effort, all this work to looking really great, and not a single person noticed your dress. Now, why did it hurt you? Because inside your heart, to be very honest, you really wanted to make an impression where people will comment. You spent all that money on that dress so that people make a comment. Now, if people don't make a comment about your dress, particularly positive, if they don't notice your dress, you feel like the dress is not worth it. But when you paid for the dress and everybody is talking about that dress, you feel you've gotten your money's worth. So let's stick in with the dress. Let's say you bought the dress and all your friends are like, oh my God, Yemi, your dress is so amazing. Where did you get it? Where did you get it? Who's your designer? Yemi's like, oh, there's somebody that Dory, I'll send you their Instagram handle. Let's tell the truth and let the devil be ashamed. Does Yemi truly want to give her friends the designer's handle? No, she doesn't. You know why? Because the moment Yemi does that, her friends automatically will come up to her level, and Yemi will no longer be the cynosure of all eyes. She will no longer be the subject of conversation. Yemi will lose that sense of exclusivity. She will lose that sense of status. She will lose that sense of being the top dog, being the one that everyone is noticing. So inside her heart, now Yemi is a good person, so she'll still do it because she's a good person and she loves God. She'll still do it, but in her hearts of hearts, she really doesn't want anyone to look just as good as her. It's not what you want to sell; it's what the customer wants to buy. I was doing I was working with an entrepreneur who is in the hair space. She sells hair. She has her own brand, and she was struggling with the fact that every Tom, Dick, and I'm not going to say Harry because my name is Harris and you can't use my name in vain, right? But she was struggling with the fact that she could not create any distinction. People were just going to the regular brands and she was just under the radar, right? So when we worked together, one of the things that we did with her messaging, not really her messaging, it was more of her positioning, but it was about her, it affected her messaging as well. And one of the things that we said was very simple that, so she kept saying it over and over again that, we don't sell hair. We don't sell hair. We sell hair that turns heads. We sell hair that turns heads. We don't sell hair. We don't sell bone straights. We don't sell Peruvian, Brazilian, or whatever nationality. We don't sell that hair. You want hair that turns other people's heads. You want hair that makes everybody turn around and look at you. That's what we sell. Because that's what the women people buy. You're not just buying bone straight because it's bone straight. You're buying it because you want to get noticed. That's the deepest, darkest desire where it comes to selling. So you've got to learn how to communicate your customer's deepest, darkest fantasy. I'll give you one more, then I'll move on. I hope this is making sense, guys. Drop a comment. Let me know if this is making sense. This is not an academic exercise. This is stuff that I do I do this every day, to be honest. The last I checked, my clients have generated well over $45 million in sales. That's how amazing I am. Adela says, yes, absolutely. Ibukun says, yes, fantastic. Beautiful. Praise. Hey, Mazu says, yep. Bukola says, loads of sense. Please write on. There we go. Thank you. Thank you, Wumi. All right, so moving on. So I was about to give you another example. Yes, I remember. Victoria's Secrets. Victoria's Secrets is perhaps the world's leading lingerie brand, right? So they sell lingerie, right? And what does Victoria's Secrets sell that cause many women to go on a frenzy? What do they sell? Is it just the lingerie? No, it's not just lingerie, right? So give you an example. Victoria's Secret has positioned their models as angels, right? So they have a signature. Their models are called Victoria's Secret angels. So when the women are modeling their lingerie, you see these beautiful women wearing angel wings and they are drop dead gorgeous, right? These are gorgeous women, right? and they look fantastic, right? They're walking the runways, modeling these, beautiful lingerie, and every woman wants that. Now, what are they communicating to the women? They are communicating the fact that Victoria's Secret's turns, check this out, Victoria's Secret's, and I came up with this phrase myself, but Victoria's Secret's turns mortal women into goddesses that are worshipped by men. You don't hear me what I'm saying, so I'm going to say it again. Victoria's Secret sells that mortal women, that human mortal women, when you wear Victoria's Secret's, mortal women will turn into goddesses that are worshipped by men. Julie says, oh, wow, exactly. Mortal women will turn into goddesses that are worshipped by men. So when a woman wears a Victoria's Secret's lingerie, first off, it gives her some level of confidence that she's wearing something that is sexy, she's wearing something that is fantastic. But now guess what? The moment she takes it off for her partner, inside her heart, she wants that when her man looks at her and takes off her clothes and he sees what's underneath, he's not thinking about any other woman. That at that moment, this woman wearing Victoria's Secrets becomes a goddess and her body is being worshipped by men. You get what I'm saying? So it's about seduction. It's about power. It's about being a goddess. It's about being transformed so that when she wears it, it gives her some level of confidence. But when she happens to take her clothes off and her lingerie is unveiled, the man forgets every woman, whether, forgive me, please forgive me, whether it's he forgets his wife at home, he forgets his girlfriend, he forgets everybody. He's just focused on you. And your body as a goddess becomes worshipped by this man. That's what they sell. So if you think that what they sell is just, oh, lingerie, come and buy lingerie, come on. I might not sell lingerie. How come I don't have the results that they have? You're not selling what the customer wants to buy. You've got to sell to your customer's fantasy. You've got to sell to their fantasy. You've got to sell to their deepest, darkest desire. You know what I mean? If you're a parent, if you're a mom here, for example, and you baked a cake for your child's 8th birthday, and you guys had a party and your friends came over and they're like, oh my God, the cake is so wonderful. Like, see this beautiful cake. Where did you get it? First off, you get happy because all of a sudden your status in the eyes of your friends has just been elevated. So your friends are looking at you like a big flipping deal. So first off, you feel like, hey, I've gotten my money's worth. Then second, when your friends now ask you, where did you get this cake? You really don't want to tell them. You really don't want to tell them. If you're a nice person, you will. But you know that the moment you give them that power, they become your mates. And you don't want them to become your mates. That's the thing. That's why Harvard has a waiting list. Because every Tom, Dick, and I'm not going to say Harry for obvious reasons, must not be able to get into Harvard. Which leads me to my second point. You can't sell to first-class customers if you're positioned as an economy product or service. I'm going to say that again. You can't sell to first-class customers if you are positioned as an economy product or service. I'm going to say that again. You can't sell or attract first-class customers if you are positioned as an economy product or service. Capiche? Thank you, Julie. You can't sell to first-class customers if you are positioned as an economy product or service. There's a reason when you fly on an airplane, first class has limited seats. Maybe the plane is a Boeing 777 and they've got like 300 or so odd seats. How many, if out of 300 seats on a Boeing jetliner, how many seats do you think are in first class? How many seats do you think are in first class? Excuse me. Right? I'll tell you, it's usually less than 1% of the number of seats on the plane. Did you get that? So on a Boeing aircraft, right, or whatever aircraft that you're flying, first class, the number of first class seats is usually less than 1% of the number of seats on the plane. You get me what I'm saying? No, not 1%. Let me do my math. Hold on. I'm terrible at math. Give me a second. I want to be sure. Hold on. 300 times. Yeah, less than 10%. I'm sorry. Less than 10% of the number of seats on the plane. Let me do that math again. Times, yeah, usually less than 5% of the seats on the plane. Yeah. But those 5% seats, you'd be surprised that they would probably account for maybe 30% or slightly more of the entire seats on the plane. You get me what I'm saying? So you can't attract first class customers if you're perceived and positioned as an economy class product or service, right? So give you an example. For the longest time, my brand simply said, my positioning statement was, I am the first coach you should have come to multiply your business revenue, and I'm the last one you'll need. Sounds very arrogant. A lot of people said it was very cocky, but I liked it. And it was true, because I'm like, look, I don't want to be the first coach you came to. I should be the first coach you should have come to. My positioning is, in case of emergency, break glass. I'm sure you've probably seen it in buildings, and in buildings where they probably have an axe covered by a glass frame, or they'll have some sort of emergency key, covered by a glass frame, and it would have a sign on top of the frame which says, "In case of emergency, break glass." Right. So that means that you bring out the big guns in case of emergency. So how did that affect my positioning? Very simple. When clients would come to ask to work with me, I would ask them, who have you worked with? And if the answer is no one, I would first off tell them, you can't work with me. You have to go and find somebody else to work with, because I'm not the first guy you should have worked with. Go and work with somebody else. You can't work with me if you've not worked with anybody else. Whoever you're going to work with has to work with you and fail, right? Has to work with you and fail, right? And I don't mean fail from the perspective that they don't get it going on. You're just not satisfied with the results you got. You know what I mean? That's my positioning. So you can't just say, oh, Steve, I want to work with you. Yada, yada. We'll take you through a screening process. Who have you worked with? What worked? What didn't work? Why are you here? If you haven't worked with anyone, I can't work with you. And if you haven't worked with enough people and I don't see that hunger, and I don't see for you that's an emergency, what's going to happen? I'm not going to work with you. Why? Because you can't attract first-class customers by being an economy product. And because I've got the results to back it up, I can afford to brag about it. I can afford to be like, no, and this was even before I even got the results. I just decided I was going to position myself different. I don't want to work with every Tom, Dick, and who, you get what I mean? And the thing is, when you go to the emergency room, you are going to pay whatever. Do you get what I'm saying? You will pay whatever. There's a reason, I mean no disrespect, there's a reason that IVF costs way more than a C-section. Do you get what I mean? The cost of having a baby, so to speak, if you have a baby naturally, technically, quote unquote, it's free. If you know what I'm saying, it's free. But if you want to do an IVF, the cost is very significant. Not just that, if you now want to do surrogacy, oh my goodness, the cost is just out of the roof. Why? Because it is an emergency. The people who do natural birth, so to speak, and I'm not dissing, I'm speaking from a business perspective, hospitals don't really make a lot of money from natural births. They don't really. I mean, it's just simple procedure. You go in, you push, you go into labor. It's stressful, no doubt about it, for the woman. But from a business perspective, the hospital doesn't really make a lot of money from natural births. For CSs, then they begin to start making money, because with a natural birth, all you're going to get is a bed. You're going to get a bed, They're going to get into a ward. They're going to make money from bed space. That's not a lot of money, right? And then the duration that they keep you there. When you pay for a C-section, now they've started making money because it's assisted. It requires surgery. It requires specialized skill. Now they're going to put a price on that, quite significant, right? Then you need to be able to pay for, let's say you've tried, you couldn't get pregnant, yada, yada, yada. Now you want to do maybe an IVF. The cost for an IVF, quite significant, isn't it? Why? Because it's an emergency. Let's say the IVF didn't work, God forbid, and your last resort, you don't want to adopt, you still want your own baby from your own biological cells. What do? You do surrogacy, right? You get, the hospital provides someone who's willing to rent their space in their body. So they rent their space. You know what I mean? So you pay for that rent, and then the hospital pays for it, and you pay for the hospital. What am I saying? Because it's an emergency, you charge more. I hope this is making sense to you. How are you positioned? Your positioning is very, very important. I just explained to you that scripture. No man lights a candle and places it under a table. No one lights a candle and places it at the bottom. Do you understand what I'm saying? Rather, you should place it at the top so that there will be light in your house. This is what Jesus is saying, Adeola. But the problem with many of us is that we have light and we are humble and we put it at the bottom. I say, let's grow, let's make our way to the top. If you want to get to the top, you have to start from the bottom. That's a lie. Who says if you want to get to the top, you have to start from the bottom? You can start from the flipping top, fam. You can start from the flipping top. Do you get what I'm saying? You can start from the top. You don't have to start from the bottom. The market is saturated at the bottom, but if you position yourself differently, give you an example. We all know the story of David and Goliath, right? We all know the story of David and Goliath. Why is the story of David and Goliath relevant? Because it's not called David and Saul. It's not called David and Abner. It's not called David and Ishbosheth. It's called David and Goliath. Why does David's name become popular? Because he has positioned himself against the giants. He has positioned himself against the very top. He went to the very top of the pyramid. He didn't start from the bottom. He didn't start from killing Ishbosheth. He didn't start from killing Abner. He didn't start from killing Saul. He didn't work his way up. He started from the flipping top and it became David and Goliath. That's why the Bible says Saul has killed his thousands. David has killed his tens of thousands. Niggas started from the top. Do you get what I'm saying? Positioning differently. And if you kill a giant, all the lesser mortals are going to fear you. Nobody's going to come after you. If you've killed Goliath, who is going to come after you? Who is going to come after you? You've killed the one that everybody is afraid of. You went toe-to-toe with the best. Who's going to come after you? It's about positioning. Do you get what I'm saying? It's about positioning. Sometimes many of us, thank you, Opalua, right? The challenge with many of us is that we're too humble. So we think our competitors are the bottom of the flipping pyramid. Do you get what I'm saying? Praise will tell you that, we had the privilege of serving with Fela Durotoi over many years. And, he still is a father, a mentor, and our guide. But Praise will tell you that there came a time in my life where I became, and I don't say this without any sense of arrogance, with any sense of arrogance, but I became the alternative to Fela Durotoi. If you couldn't get Fela, you were going to get Steve Harris. Do you get what I mean? And that was my positioning. I didn't want to position against the upcoming. I was not an upcoming artist. I had been rocking with the best. And so if I was going to compete, I needed to position myself against the very best. And Fela Durotoi is the very best. So I became the alternative to Fela Durotoi. If Fela was charging 10 million, people were like, oh, we can't afford Fela. Oh, there's this guy. He worked with Fela, Steve Harrison. He's charismatic. He's got Fela spirit. And he puts his own spin on things. You get what I'm saying? And I became that alternative. Those days in terror culture, yes, and way after. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's positioning, really. You need to go up against the giants in your industry, and all you need to do, sometimes you just need to throw stones at them. If the giant talks about you, guess what's going to happen? Your branding is going to go through the roof. Do you get what I mean? You don't even need to kill the giant. You just need the giant to talk about you. That's all you need. You just need to get the attention of giants to talk about you, right? That's how you position. That's how you compete. How do you get the industry leaders to mention you Either they mention you from a place of scorn, from a place of derision, from a place of who's that? Was that? But guess what? They mentioned you, which means they took notes, which means they are aware you exist. The problem with many of you is that your competitors are not aware you exist. So, for example, no disrespect, if someone here is a coach or a speaker and you think I'm your competition and I don't know who the hell you are, you don't exist to me. Do you get what I'm saying? No doubt about it, you're really good at what you do. But as long as I don't know you exist, you don't exist, because you need to be mentioned in the corridors of power. Do you get what I'm saying? You need to be mentioned in the corridors of power, right? So you cannot sell to first-class customers if you're positioned as an economy product. And first-class customers, let me put it this way. There are 4 levels of your customers. The 90%, the 90% buy a commodity, right? No matter what you sell, the 90% buy a commodity. No amount of branding, no amount of positioning is going to help you. If your market is the 90%, all you're going to be is a commodity. There's a reason that pure water is, it's like buying pure water in traffic or buying Coke in traffic. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like buying any of that in traffic. You are considered as well done, Steve Harris. You represent. I confirm you're being an alternate to FD. We invite you to First Bank Women Pro. Yes. Oh, thank you. I remember that was so much fun. Thank you so much for Lashadi. I remember that I had an amazing time at the First Bank's Women Program. Yes, and I gave you guys a little bit of a tough time. Well, to be honest, I did it because whoever directly invited me was somebody that I liked, so I let her off the hook. But that's my point, right? So the 90% buy a commodity, right? So no matter what you sell, what they want is it cheaper, at the cheapest rate possible. So for give you an example, if you are in the I won't call it transportation business. If you're in the business of vehicles, right? Motor vehicle business, right? Let's say at the lowest level, the 90%, what they want to do, if they're waiting for a bus, they want a bus or they want a vehicle that will get them to their destination at the cheapest price possible. That's what they want. So whether it's a bike, keke, BRT, Molue, they want to get to their destination at the cheapest price possible. What they are buying is a commodity. No amount of branding, no amount of effigy, no amount of, whatever is going to change their mind. What they want is a commodity, something they want at the cheapest price as possible. That's the commodity. Now, if you're positioned at the 90%, guess what? You are a commodity, right? So the 90% buy a commodity. Now the 10%, right? What they now buy is an accessory, right? The 10% now buy an accessory. So they want something that accessorizes how they see themselves. They want something, that's why they're called the middle class. They're not in heaven, they're not in hell, they're in purgatory, for those of you who are Catholics, right? They're not in heaven, they're not in hell, they're in purgatory, they're in the middle, right? So they want an accessory. They want something that accessorizes how they see themselves. So for example, a 10%er will not wait at the bus. A 10%er will get an Uber. They will get a Lyft, for example. They'll get an Uber, they'll take a Lyft, or they'll drive their own car because they want to accessorize themselves, how they see themselves, right? And that's important to them. So anything they're buying must be perceived as an extension of how they see themselves. Do you get what I mean? That's an accessory. Now, the 1%, they don't buy commodity. They don't buy they don't buy commodity. They don't buy an accessory. The 1% buy exclusivity, right? Their language is exclusivity, exclusive, right? So for example, if you're marketing to the 1%, don't use words like payment plan. Don't use words like discounts. Don't use those kinds of those words are for the people in the 10%. Payment plan is for the 10%. Discounts is for the 10%. Do you get what I mean? That's the language for the 10%. The language for the 90% is cheap, affordable, free. If any of those words show up in your marketing, you know exactly where you are. If you use the words cheap, if you use the word affordable, if you use the word free, if you use the word pay small, you are a 90% person. If you use the word payment plan, if you use the word discount, you're a 10% person. If you use the word exclusive, if you use the word premium, you are a 1% person. If you're a 1% to the 1%, these guys don't buy commodity. These guys don't buy accessory. These guys don't buy exclusivity. What they buy is scarcity. Limited, scarce. You get one of a kind. That's the language of the 1% of the 1%. Bill Gates bought Leonardo da Vinci's Codex, and that's the body of work. So he literally bought Leonardo da Vinci's diary that had some of his diagrams. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, let me Google so I know the right words. How much he paid for it? How much did Bill Gates pay for Leonardo's work? In 1994, Bill Gates purchased Leonardo da Vinci's Codex Leicester. He paid $30.8 million. He paid $30.8 million. Why? Because there was only one. Now, by owning that book, he bought a one-of-a-kind book. So guess what? The words again, one-of-a-kind, scarce, rare. And by owning that book, did it increase his status? Absolutely, because he's the only person on the planet that has Leonardo da Vinci's diary. Do you get where I'm coming from? People buy art because they're scarce. If you buy all this roadside arts, the ones they sell in traffic, they sell it. You're an asset. It makes your space look good, but that's not what it is. Like all this stuff that I bought on Amazon, this ain't crap. This is nothing, fam. Do you get what I mean? But the moment you pay for, like, you buy the Mona Lisa, or you buy a Rembrandt, or you buy a Monet, or any of these interesting, Michelangelo's painting, you're paying millions of dollars for it. Why? Because they are rare, they are scarce, they are one of a kind. So if you want to be a one of a kind brand, how are you positioning? Right? So for example, when people want to have sessions with me, they fill forms. And they don't just fill forms, they apply to work with me. So I'm not available. You have to apply. And if we read your application and we don't think you're a good fit, we will send you an email to say, I'm sorry, we don't think you're a good fit for us. I'm not auditioning for you. You have to prove why you should work with me. I don't have to prove nothing. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't have to prove nothing. The last phrase will tell you, Senge, please forgive me. The last, couple of clients I worked with in my cohorts, trainings that I don't really facilitate, my last 5 cohorts have generated well over 8 billion naira. I have worked with clients and I've helped them generate well over $45 million. I ain't got nothing to prove. You know what I'm saying? I will not jump through hoops for you. Price is not the object. You have to prove to me that you deserve to work with me. I am the special one. Do you get what I'm saying? Those of you who are a football reference, I'm the special one. So you've got to pre-qualify them. Those guys are used to getting what they want. So they need to see that, when they look at you, and this is the thing. I need you to remember this. I call it the Adam principle, right? And what's the Adam principle? When God created Adam, or when he created man, he looked at man and he said, this is very good, right? When he looked at man, he saw a reflection of himself. He saw a being that had his creative ability, his dominion ability, a creature that was infinitely unique. And God looks at this person. He looks at his reflection and says, God damn it, this is very good. Now, why is this important? Your clients will buy from who they look like. Your clients will buy from who they look like. What do I mean by that? If you're attracting 90% clients, I'm so sorry, you look like them. That's why they're buying from you. There's the Adam principle. They look at you and say, oh my God, this is very good. He's just like me. You get what I'm saying? So if you're attracting 90% clients, your clients are like, oh, you're just like them. You are a 90% person. If you're attracting 10% clients, a 10% client will look at you and say, they would see resonance. I see you, I see me. Me is you, you is me. They will buy from you because you're an extension of how they see themselves. A 1%er must look at you and see themselves. Oh, you don't hear me? See, if you get this thing, this is the dark arts of selling, right? A 1%er must look at you and see themselves. It's in the clothes, it's in the shoes, it's in your language, it's in your skin. You get what I mean? It's in the communication. Exactly, Oluwayomi. You attract those who are like you, right? You've got to understand wealth has a language. Wealth has a language. Poverty has a language. So when a wealthy person hears your language, they can tell whether or not you qualify to work with them, whether you are like them. And it may not necessarily be like them in the totality of net worth, but you're wealthy. You get what I'm saying? You understand that the pronunciation of the word is not Ibiza. You didn't go to Ibiza on holiday, you went to Ibiza. Just those little things, just those little things. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, okay. Where did you go? Oh, Ibiza, those kinds of places. You understand the language. Wealth has a language. Do you get what I'm saying? Wealth is a currency. It's current that is flowing. It's current. It's not static. So you can't attract first-class customers by being an economy product. Let me go on my final point. All right, this is my final point. Dark secrets about selling. I hope this is making sense. Let me check the comments. If it's making sense, please drop a comment. Just say sense. Okay. Right? Yes, praise. Thanks, bro. Right. Dr. Princess, sense on steroids. I like that. Sense, absolutely. That's why I'm the sensei. Did you get it? Sense. Absolutely. That's why I'm the sensei. All right, here we go. Numerous cents. I love it, Madam President. There we go. Okie dokie. Yes, sir. That's why I'm the sensei. All right, here we go. Now, here's the final thing. Thanks, Falashade. On no men, please forgive me. Let's go to the final thing. People don't want, Michael says, how does this apply to selling service departments? You're going to have to pay me for a consultation, bro. I don't give ideas for free. I don't give solutions for free. Here we go. People don't want your solution. They want to know you understand the problem it solves. Can I say that again? People don't want your solution. They want to know you understand the problem it solves. People don't want your solution. They want to know you understand the problem it solves. All right? People don't want your solution. They want to know you understand the problem it solves. So a lot of us are caught up in our marketing where we're offering the solution. And it's great to tell people the solution. That's great. But what's even greater is helping them understand that you understand their problem. Do you know why that is so important? People like to talk about their problems. People don't want solutions. It's crazy. Bless you. People don't want solutions. So it's just crazy. They just want to talk about their problems. Can you imagine what happened to me? Oh, yeah, go for counseling now. No, but he broke my heart and he did this. I can't believe he cheated on me. Oh, yeah, let's go for therapy now. No, that's not what you don't understand. What he did to me. They just want to talk about their problems. They don't want the solution. They want to make sure that you understand their problems. So they must be problem aware. So when you sell your solution, don't sell it as a solution, sell it as a problem you are aware of. It's called gap selling. The distance between the solution and the problem, there's a gap. You are offering a solution. Your customer is talking about the problem. The customer doesn't want the solution. They want to talk about the problem. So you've got to talk about their problem. And when they understand that you understand their problem, you can tell them a solution. You can upsell a solution. Did you get it? People must be problem aware. They're not solution aware. They don't care about your solution. They care about their problem. So talk to them about their problem. Give you an example. a couple of years ago, I created this platform where I was coaching women, right? Single women, because I'm very passionate about single women, mature single women, to be more specific, right? So initially, it was called Love University, and I would go on Instagram and I would teach, about relationships. And my approach was a little different because Jesus says that he's the good shepherd. He goes again. If one sheep leaves the 99, he goes after the one, and he returns them to the 99 so that he has 100 sheep. I think in this day and age, the 99 sheep have gone outside. Do you get what I'm saying? The 99 sheep have gone outside, so there's only one left. And a lot of preachers are speaking to the one that is left. So they say things like, oh, abstinence and purity, which I totally agree with, right? But they're speaking to the one. Now the 99 are outside, and the 99 don't want to hear abstinence and purity. The 99 are saying, listen, I'm in my 40s. No man is coming. I'm thinking about freezing my eggs. I'm thinking about, sex means nothing. I'm thinking about being a second wife, side chick, single mother, girlfriend, friend with benefits. I just need companionship. So while the 99 of thought leaders are talking to the one and telling them, oh, you got to wait until you're married, they're like, you don't understand my problem. You don't understand my problem. You're busy telling me I should wait. Wait for what? I've waited. 46, 47, no man has come. And you're telling me that I should wait until married. You don't understand that. I said nobody has come, and you're telling me to wait. Time is not on my side. My clock is flipping, ticking. So initially, I didn't know these things that I was teaching you. I was just talking about the solution, right? Even though I had started with my messaging to speak to the 99. So I was talking to them and talking to them and talking to them. I would have thousands of people on my Instagram lives, women who were just asking questions, and I was having a great time talking to them. Then one day it dawned on me, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe I should create some sort of community where I can coach them and guide them, mentor them. So I offered them some freebie. And long story short, I created this Facebook community. I had like 860 women that I was, mentoring. And I was doing it for love. I was just doing it purely for love, not for money. I was just doing it for love, just helping these women and just, and then one day I got this, eureka moment. And I was like, oh, if I've got a captive audience of 860 odd women who really love me and who I'm adding value. If I sell something to them, maybe it's 5K, right? And they buy it. I don't even need all of them to buy it. If like 100 people buy it and it's $5,000, I've made some money. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's a great idea. So I put this product out there. And in the Facebook group, the ladies were chit-chatting about something. So I put it out in the group. I'm like, hey, ladies, guess what? A lot of you have asked me about this thing. I've created this audio, this MP3, downloads just 5K. It's absolutely nothing. But it's some of the things about relationships, yada, yada, yada. And I posted it, and I was waiting for my phone battery to die because of the number of credit alerts that I was getting from my bank. And I posted it and I sat back waiting to hear my phone buzz. And I waited and I waited and I waited and nothing happened. So I was like, okay, maybe is it that the payments? Did I check this? Is it a proper link? How come nobody has bought it? Maybe the link is wrong. Check the link. It was the right link. Okay, maybe they didn't see it. So I posted it again. Oh, hi, ladies. I posted this earlier. I'm sure you must have missed it because I know there's a lot of conversation in the group. But hey, check this out. It's really going to help you. Yada, 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 yada. Boom, 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 boom. I pasted it. Boom. And sat back, leaned back, waited for the alerts to come in. And I waited and I waited and I waited. And long story short, out of 860 odd women, nobody bought it. Not one single woman bought it. I was offended. I was hurt. I was upset. After giving 6 months of my life to these women and coaching them and mentoring them and being their Uncle Steve, this is how y'all bitches pay me back. I'm sorry for swearing, you know what I'm saying? This is how I felt. This is how y'all pay me back. So I was so hurt. Like for 3 days, I just left. I just ignored the group for 3 days. Then people will be sending me messages. Uncle Steve, we've not heard from Uncle Steve. Are you okay? Uncle Steve is all right. I was like, who is your uncle? No wonder all of you are single. God will punish all of you. I didn't tell them that, but that's how I felt. That's how I felt, Senge. That's how I felt. I was like, God will punish all of y'all. No wonder all y'all are single. You know what I'm saying? If me, a guy who has given his heart and soul to all y'all, and this is how you treat me, no, you deserve to be single. Oh my goodness, I was so upset, right? But anyway, long story short, eventually I just lost my faith. I just got tired, Winifred, of just talking to God, so it hurts. And a couple of months later, I sat back, Winifred, and I did an impact analysis, an impact assessment, and I asked myself some very fundamental questions. Why didn't it work? Why didn't it work? And then, you have to ask yourself the right questions if you want to get the right answers. You've got to ask the right questions. So in asking questions of myself, I then realized, Adeola, that, the demographic of women I'm speaking to are not, please allow me to use this term, and I mean no disrespect to any woman or any woman who is mature and single, but please allow me to use this term. The market I was speaking to was not desperate. Folashade. They were not desperate. I was speaking to a market who their problem was not, Uncle Steve, I don't have a man. Their problem was, Uncle Steve, which man should I have? They were in the Nadem de Rochos markets. Do you get what I'm saying? No disrespect. They were at the stage of their life where they had too many options, right? So for them, it was a matter of which one should I take, right? So I recognized that I was speaking to the wrong market. Right product, wrong market. Because it's not about your market. It's not about your market, Olanike. Sorry, it's not about your marketing, Olanike. It's about the market you are in. It's not about your marketing. It's about your market. You can have all the fantastic marketing strategy. If you're selling to the wrong flipping market, you will be broke. So it's not about your marketing. It's about the market you are in. And so when I realized that, I sat back and I thought, okay, who's the desperate market? And I sat back and I created something called Ifemi. And it was for the women who are like, I'm done. I'm done with love. Love ain't happening. What do? I can't find a man. Now, guess what? Even though Ifemi is a 1-month coaching program for women, for mature single women, and the women who come into Ifemi are anything from the ages of 36, 37, although we do have a very few number of people who are younger, but averagely they're like 37 to their mid 40s, and in some cases actually to their 50s, right? And we attract the span of either single, divorced, or widowed women. Now, check this out, even though it's the coaching, it's the mentoring, it's the trauma therapy, it's all the things that we do that make these women sign up, that's not why they come. Can I tell you why they come? Because I told you it's about that deep, dark desire. Can I tell you why they come? I'll tell you. Why they come is because at the end of the program, I organize a speed dating session. So I bring men who are ready to get married, men who are looking for relationships, men whose heads are correct. I bring men and I can connect them with my amazing women, right? I connect them with my amazing women, and then they connect over a couple of hours over speed dating. They get numbers and then they chat with these guys. And before you know, boom, something happens, relationships, marriages, engagements. So what do the women really want? Do they want the coaching? No, fam. Do they want to hear from Steve? No, fam. Do they want the mentoring, trauma therapy? They don't want none of that stuff. What do they want? They want to meet men. They want speed dating. So they will pay for speed dating. They will listen through all the things Steve is saying. It's entering like this, it's going out like this. But to be honest, actually, they do listen. But in reality, what they really, really want, exactly, Sange, the offer is resistible. What they really want, what they're paying for, is the opportunity to meet with men at the end of the program. That Steve has men. men whose heads are correct, men that are looking for wife. How much is it? Maybe it's $100 where we're raising our prices. They're like, $100, only $100. How much is that in there? Whatever it is. I'll pay now. How much is the program? How long is the program? 1 month. Is it every day? No, we just talk on weekends. Okay, fine. I'm in. But there's speed dating at the end, Abby. Absolutely. So I know what they want. So I sell them what they want. It's not about what I want to sell. I can say, oh, what I really want to sell is a coaching program where I can coach women and I can help you with your mind and I can make you more irresistible and I can do the says, excuse me, sir, after this program, will I meet anybody? No, oh no, that's not what I want. But what I just said, oh no, we have speed dating, so okay. Do you get it? So that's why I say it's not about what you want to sell, it's about what the customers want to buy. Right? That's my point. Let me recraft that point. Yes, people don't want your solution. They want to know that you understand the problem. So sell the problem. Sell the problem. When they see like people have told me, like when people join my programs, like, Steve, you're talking about, how did you know that this is my life? I'm like, I know the problem. I know the problem. So they buy it. I just tell them, this is the problem. If this is your problem, send me a message. If this resonates with you in any way, send me a message. So they've bought the problem. I just upsell the solution. So those are my 3 points. Number 1, it's not about what you want to sell, it's about what customers want to buy. Number 2, you can't sell to first-class customers if you're positioned as an economy product or service. And number 3, people don't want your solution. They want to know you understand the problem that it solves. With these few words of mine, I hope I've been able to convince you and not to confuse you, so on and so forth. There we go. Praise. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Steve. I'm just going to ask you maybe 2 questions. Thank you very much for sharing. It needs a lot of, to digest, because you have shared a lot of deep stuff. And like we rightly said, you spoke to the dark art of selling, because oftentimes when we coach family life professionals, the most important question that we ask them to elicit from the client is, what exactly do you want? Because oftentimes what you think they want is not what they want. I mean, I've worked with clients who, maybe there was a bit of infidelity and they were coming to me, I have infidelity, and you would have thought that was what was making them feel bad. But by the time you cross-examine a little bit, you realize that the infidelity was not the issue at all. So, what is paining, it could be maybe the person they're having an affair with, they now discover that the person also has someone else,
Exactly. That's
and, often you're like, oh, wow. So it's not even, so we need to learn to figure out what the problem is for people and their dark desire. And I love the fact that you spoke to the dark desire. Because, someone you can see someone, you think the person is very active in church, in 3 departments. So this person is serving God. But the dark desire
is visibility. They want somebody to notice them.
I'm looking for, they must see me.
They must see me.
For someone else, it could be, I'm compromising, but God, let me be bribing you with this, with this work. So it's amazing how what you think the problem is and what the real problem, the desires of people is totally, it's like from heaven to earth. So thank you very much for that. Someone is asking a question in the chat box. He's saying, I agree with you, Steve. Where is the place of authenticity on your way to becoming that brand?
No, authenticity is an incredible part of your DNA. I'm not asking you to compromise who you are. I'm just saying you've got to learn human behavior and biopsychology, right? People are attracted to, you can be yourself, just be uniquely different, right? Just be uniquely yourself. But your marketing has to be different. Your positioning has to be different. You know what I mean? If you, Praise will tell you, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm a really nice guy, right? But my positioning suggests otherwise. So when I come out there, give you an example. Let me be practical. When Okay, apart from praise, most people in our field as thought leaders and coaches are pastor types, right? Even Praise has been a pastor, but he has left that behind. But most of us in our field are pastor types, right? And so we've got this squeaky clean, good boy image, yada, yada, yada. But I realized that even though, yes, I'm a good person as far as I know, I'm not a pastor type. Based on my exposure, based on the places I've grown up, there's certain things that I do, and I don't apologize for them. So I'm going to give it to you straight. It's not rare you would find me cuss on occasion. I mean, even though I'm not profane, I'm not going to use F-bombs and all that stuff like that. I don't swear like a sailor, but sometimes I'm like, what the hell, what the F is wrong? And it's just how I am. Do you get what I mean? I have tattoos. That's who I am, right? But if I had to stick with the poster boy image of being pristine and this and that, it wouldn't fly with me. So for example, I remember I did a podcast many, many years ago. I wanted to teach on relationships, and everybody around me were doing the whole 7 keys to a happy relationship, 5 levels of this. I was like, listen, my podcast was called "Is He Into Me or Does He Want to Get Into Me?" Do you get? Is he into me or does he want to get into me? That's how I think. And that podcast had maybe like 15,000 downloads or something like that. It was insane. But that's how things come into my mind. But so it's like in my mind, please let me use the term. It's like in my mind, I'm R-rated, but I have to bring it down and make it PG to help people. But I'm like, please, I'm not PG. I'm not universal. I'm not PG-13. I'm rated R. You get what I mean? So those who want rated R content, come and meet me. There's a reason. If you want to watch family friendly, go and watch the Avengers. If you want rated R, go and watch Deadpool. Do you get? Deadpool will still make tons and tons of money, but it's rated R, violence and everything. That's how. So my point is, you've got to be authentically you, but you've got to market different. So I hope that helps.
Okay. Final question, Steve. How do people move from free-mindedness to a fee-mindedness? Because I know that you also you have operated in that free, I mean, where we're coming from, where you say, God told me not to pay. God told me not to collect money. God told me not to, and so how did you break that barrier? Because quite a number of people are on this platform. And I think one of the big, especially people with church background, they just suddenly assume they say, well, we are house of saviors. But house of saviors doesn't mean you should now be giving things for free. House of saviors in our head is problem solving, right? So how do you move from free to a fee, because many people feel guilty to charge. I used to be there. I'm no longer there. I'll charge you. I'll do CSR where I need to do CSR, but you can't compel me to do CSR. In fact, I can walk away right now without feeling bad. I used to feel very bad. In fact, I was feeling, I did a job for a guy. He said he didn't have money. I did that job. It took me like 4 months. And I did a good job, as in the family that was close to divorce got restored. Then I was, a friend invited me for Thanksgiving for his baby in their church. And I got to that church. Lo and behold, who was giving a testimony? This man and his wife, saying that the word of God of what the pastor gave was what restored their marriage. And to appreciate the man of God, they've come to sow a car.
Wow.
I literally, I almost died within me to say, what wickedness? You have money to buy a car. And you told me, I mean, I walked out of that place and I was like, no, people can be very, very, okay, maybe because I'm not a man of God, maybe because I didn't, but I mean, I invested 4 months of my life every week working with you and your wife. Then you went to give the car to, but I overcame it. So how do people move from free thinking to fee-mindedness?
It's very simple. I love it. It's a very simple answer. You're going to pay someone who will charge you a crazy fee, right? When you pay someone who will charge you a crazy fee, you won't do anything for free again. You just won't. When you, House of Savior people, decide, for example, you know what, I need to speak to Steve, and Steve charges you something that makes you cry, But you'll get results. So when I charge you something that will make you cry, I swear to God, you will never do anything for free again, right? Because for you, you'll be like, I spent an hour with Steve and he charged me hypothetically $1,000, which is, I charge more than that, but hypothetically $1,000. I like, I paid $1,000 for 1 hour. Yes, I got the answer, but I paid 1K, 800,000 naira for 1 hour. No, 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 no. It will give you psychological permission to charge people. You know, no disrespect. The reason many of you are not making the money that you want is that you're not paying enough. You're not. I don't know if I don't think House of Saviors is free. I'm assuming it's not. Praise doesn't really do things for free anymore. So I'm assuming it's not free.
This is free. It's free. It's free.
Can you imagine? Is it even free?
Sunday is free. Yeah.
Okay, the Sunday one is okay. The Sunday stuff is free,
yeah.
Right? Now, guess what? If this stuff was paid for and paid for like something that you will feel like it will pain you, you will pay. Do you get what I mean? It will give you psychological permission, UMSC. That's what it is. The problem is many of you don't have psychological permission because you're not paying anything. There's nowhere that you're paying for something that is valuable. You're paying for your DSTV because it's valuable. You're paying for fuel because it's valuable. You're not paying a coach money that you think is valuable, which is why you've not given yourself psychological permission to charge anyone. Do you get what I mean? I remember I had a session with someone, and maybe this is many years ago. She asked me to pay like $1,000. Just like I'm telling you, I paid $1,000 to speak to her for 1 hour. And in my opinion, it's not like quote unquote she's better than me. She just seemed to have better positioning. That's all. So I just sat down with her for 1 hour. In terms of toe-to-toe knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and XYZ, I'm bigger and better, but she had better positioning. And I was like, how did you get this positioning? So I went to have a meeting with her. But before that meeting, she was like, Steve, you're going to pay us like 1K grand, right? And then the dollar was like a $250 to $1. So I paid like 250,000 there. So you can imagine how many years that was. But I sat down with her for 1 hour. She told me her positioning secrets. When she was done, I'm like, that's it? Like for real? Do you get what I mean? After that, I went gangbusters because I said to myself, I have to make this money back. This money I've just given this babe, I'm going to get it back. Oh yeah, who's next? So anybody who just came to me and said, Steve, it freed me, bro. It gave me psychological permission. I just said, I need to get my money back. And I just charged the next nigga who came $1K straight. I got my money back. Every other thing was now profits. Do you get what I mean? So that's my point. You've got to be able to do that, man.
Thank you very much, Steve. And like I always say to people, when David was going to kill Goliath, the first question he asked, what shall be done to the family of the man who killed this uncircumcised Philistine? Right? He didn't do it for God. Doing it for God doesn't mean it's free, right? Even when we charge a fee, we are still doing it for God. We are still in ministry, right? And so thank you very much. Someone is saying, I have started charging real. So someone I charged later sent me a message that they told her I'm a pastor. I replied to her, no, I'm not a pastor. She then replied, okay, sorry, I was capas. Yeah, one of the things worst thing that can happen to you in Nigeria, if you speak in churches, is people are like going to label you pastor. And pastor is don't charge. I mean, I have dropped that title. I rejected that title, so that I can be the businessman that I am. So thank you very much, Steve, for obliging us and for sharing from the world of your knowledge with us. We really
there's a question, bro, if you don't mind, that I'd like to just touch very briefly. And I think it belongs to Adeola. I can't pronounce her surname. She just asked the question, how was Jesus able to attract all classes of people, even the poor, during his time? How do you speak the language of your audience perfectly? All right, so let me just quickly explain this. When Jesus went to the synagogue, the Bible says he opened the book that was written about him, and he says, the kingdom of heaven, what's that scripture? The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, and he has anointed me to preach the good news, to open recovery of sight, yada, 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 yada. We know the story. Then he closed the book. He said, today, this scripture has been fulfilled in your presence. Now, what do I mean by that? When Jesus was trying to explain the kingdom, people wouldn't understand it. So what did he do? Business consultants will tell you that you need to focus on niche marketing, right? So focus on the niche. And that's correct also. Focus on the niche and build authority there. It makes sense. But what Jesus did was what I call marketing to niches. He didn't just niche market. He marketed to niches. They're two different things. What do I mean? So Jesus was talking about the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of heaven. But he was attracting all sorts of people. Now, why was he attracting all sorts of people? Because he marketed to niches. So he said, to those who are blind, the kingdom of heaven is recovery of sight. You will be able to see. To those who are incarcerated, you will be free, and not just free. He made them an irresistible offer. You won't just be free. You will be free. Your charges will be dropped, and we will compensate you for the time that you were in jail. That's an irresistible offer. He took the kingdom. He said, the kingdom of heaven to those who are incarcerated is the same as getting out of jail, getting off your charges, having no charge brought against you, and then compensating you for the time that you were in jail. He said to the hungry, the kingdom of God is not just getting bread, it's getting the bakery. To those who are thirsty, it's not just getting water, it's getting water that revives, it's living water. So he marketed to different niches. So he broke down his offer into ways that explained it to other people, right? But now here's the interesting thing, and I'm not going to go into detail, is if you notice, most of the miracles, I'll put it this way, most of the significant miracles recorded concerning Jesus in the Bible were done for people of significance. Well, you don't hear me what I'm saying. Most of the significant miracles that were done by Jesus in the Bible were done for people of significance. Jairus, this is his daughter. Jairus was a person of significance. Zacchaeus, he didn't perform no miracles to Zacchaeus, but Zacchaeus was filthy rich. Do you get what I'm saying? Most of the miracles of significance were performed for people of significance. And the crowd is used to amplify your legend. But at every point in time, or at most points in time, the people whom Jesus did extraordinary things, the centurion whose servant was dead, that he said Jesus should just speak a word, that person was a man of significance. That man had built a temple for the Jews. Do you get what I'm saying? So my point really is this, is the crowd is meant to amplify your legend while you attract the 1%. So the 99% are meant to shout, Hosanna, Hosanna, your brand, Steve Harris, praise, they're amazing. That's the crowd for the 99%. The 99% is meant to get the attention. So please allow me to use the dark word of selling. You use the 99%, you use the noise that the 99% make to attract the attention of the 1%. Did you get this? You use the noise that the 99% make to attract the attention of the 1%. You don't sell to the 99. They are the ones who are coming for miracles. They're coming to sit with you for 3 days, waiting for a miracle. Then you now have to feed 5,000 of them. Don't forget, Jesus fed them. They didn't feed him, Jesus fed them. He had to perform a miracle for 5,000 people. But the 1%, at each point in time, they sent for him. He went to go and hang out with them. So yeah, that's the deep, dark art of selling. Praise back to you, bro.
Thank you very much, Steve. We're really, really grateful for your time. We do not take it for granted. If we have to pay Steve now, I know what we'll have to close our account.
Pay me. You guys should
what's wrong with you? Go and sit down. I'll pay you.
No, it's not you, it's them. I didn't say you should. I'll do anything for you.
I'll pay you.
I'll do anything for you.
I'll take your, don't worry. Okay, but guys, Steve is one of the best you can ever work with. He's my brother, but I mean, I'm always very, very proud of him. It's about the best you should work with if you want to, move your business to the next level. Thank you very much, Steve. My regards to Ima. And a little, no, she's no longer little, big girl, Paris. I saw her yesterday. I was like, this kid. Okay, thank you very much. We're really, really grateful. House of Saviors, thank you for, please, can we show him some love? Thank you, guys. Well, for those of you who are in House of Saviors, just new, yeah, this is a free meeting. We only have ask people to do voluntary giving, and I'll tell you, most of the things we give are things that I can actually out of pocket pay for, basically. And so we always give us opportunity. We don't come here and say, oh, if you don't give, God will not bless you. We don't do all those kind of things there. So sometimes it looks like when you genuinely love people and you want their progress, they take it for granted. So it looks like the people love the people who take advantage of their pockets and cost them and manipulate them and say, if you don't give $1,000 now, something will happen to you and things like that. But we will not betray our values, our ethos for that. For those of you who are in the membership, at the end of every quarter, you are entitled to a free masterclass, right? And so we will tell you during the week when the masterclass is holding. I know it's facilitating the masterclass about 2 hours. We'll let you know we have membership. So if you are in the membership, you will have that session. Okay, I hand over to the woman from South Africa, Njideka.